It's the Law with Morelli Churtko. Joining me is Greg Thompson. Area of practice is personal injury and civil litigation. We're talking about general civil litigation today. And although a lot of people may know from experience, what is civil litigation and what does it mean?
Well, generally the way I explain civil litigation is I sort of explain what it is not. So when people ask me what I do, I say, well, I'm a civil litigator. They sort of look at me like they know, I know they don't know what I'm talking about, but they don't want to ask me that question.
Right.
What does that mean? And so it's divided into two areas in law. There's solicitors and there's civil litigators or barristers. So a solicitor will do all the business-oriented things, buying and selling houses, conveyancing, wills, estates, buying and selling businesses in, very rudimentary terms. That's essentially what they do. And then civil litigators and civil litigation do everything to do with court. So if you're in a dispute with, let's say, your neighbor or another business person, and it's not something you can work out, and you think, I'm not going to be able to deal with that person again, I need to do something about it, they've wronged me in some way, or they've damaged my property, or they've damaged my business, then that's civil litigation. So then you hire someone like me, who will then assist you in the next steps throughout the litigation process, whether that be writing a demand letter or sending a notice letter to the person saying, sort of a warning shot. It's like, this is what's going on. Either, smarten up or, bring this to your lawyer and we'll try and resolve this out of court. Otherwise, then the next step is you start a notice of civil claim or a lawsuit. Mm-hmm. And you sue the person. And then you go through the next steps throughout litigation, list of documents, discoveries, and then trial.
Right. Okay, so if I'm served papers, if I'm served documents, what's the next step?
Yeah, and honestly, this is something that comes up quite a bit, is that normally, if somebody's served with a document, let's say you're sitting at home and someone knocks on your door and they hand you a document and ask you who you are, and they serve you with documents in an envelope, and then you put that envelope on your side table and leave it there for a couple weeks. That's probably the worst thing you can do. This is a point in time where you need to acknowledge that somebody has been paid to come to your home to knock on your door and give you a piece of paper. That means it's very important. So you need to, take that document and bring it to a law firm. Bring it to any law firm. Whether it's Morelli Churtko, it doesn't matter. Like for me personally, it's just you need to get that document in front of a lawyer because you don't really know what it's about. And so there are very strict timelines for most, if not all, documents that are served on you to respond. If you don't respond in time, they can get what's called default judgment or just move through the process without you. And then, it's probably the worst time in your life to put your head in the sand. You need to actually engage with the process because it's not an excuse to say, well, I'm not going to engage, or I didn't respond, or no, they just posted it on my door because I didn't answer the door. Well, chances are they got an order from the court to say that they could do that because you were evading service. So as much as you want to think you can out-trick the law, it is slow at some points, I'll be honest, but it will always catch up. Always. So it's always best to just take that document to a lawyer. And again, it's in these types of situations, for civil litigation, I'll do what's called independent legal advice. You can come in, pay me for an hour of my time, and generally I'll just, my hourly rate is a certain amount of money. If it's a complexity that's lower, I'll lower the rate a bit. It's just a general, so you get the ability to speak with a lawyer, access to justice, and legal advice. And so I'll sit down with you and explain sort of what your options are. And then you can go on your way.
I imagine there's a number of different kinds of civil litigation. What kind of claims does Morelli Churtko handle?
Well, the quick answer is all claims except for tax. I don't do tax. I don't take tax in law school. I don't really like dealing with tax, so I don't do tax. And Morelli Churtko doesn't do tax in general. But other than that, we will do all types of claims. To start with is a breach of contract claim. Let's say you have a contract with somebody and they aren't following through with their end of the deal. It's a breach of contract. You can bring it in and we can talk about it. And we do everything from construction to wrongful dismissal claims, so employment law, estate litigation, business disputes, so shareholder disputes and things like that, property disputes. And we do a bit of foreclosure work. So a lot of that is involving people that are in a position where their mortgage is in default and the banks have foreclosed on them and said that they have, and essentially normally what happens is they go to court and a lot of these types of people are self-represented because they don't have the money to do it, right? They're in that position because they couldn't pay their mortgage, so they can't afford to pay a lawyer. But I will always speak with somebody in that situation and let them know their legal options.
Right. And then if you decide to move forward, on those?
Yeah, I mean, if you decide to move forward, you can hire me. And one thing I will say though, in certain matters, you don't want to pay a lawyer to do everything, right? And so let's say you've got a smaller matter that's worth $30,000. It wouldn't make any sense to pay me $25,000 to get $30,000 from somebody. That would just not be a business savvy thing to do. So what I do in those situations, I tell people, okay, come into my office, do ILA, we'll discuss your issue, see how much it's worth, see how much my time is going to cost, and then we'll break it down. I'll say, look, I can help you draft the claim and get you on your way, and sort of assist you along the side. And that way you don't have to feel that you're alone, and you can always call me, but you also don't have to pay me for everything. So it's kind of a win-win for both sides.
All right. A lot of civil litigation. Does it keep you busy?
It does. It's fascinating, actually, that unless you're involved in litigation or personal injury or whatever it is, unless you're involved with it or have a family member that works in that industry, you kind of think, are they busy? What are they doing in their office all day? I don't get it. I called him. He didn't call me right back. What are they doing? So yeah, it right now it is busy, and it's a good thing for me, because as a younger lawyer, you don't want to be not busy, because you haven't, you want to keep your skills sharp, and if you're not practicing and working a lot, then you're not gonna advance your abilities.
All right. Is there anything else we should probably know about civil litigation?
No, I mean, the one thing I want to tell people is that lawyers aren't scary people. Well, okay, I'm not a scary person. I can speak for myself. If you have a legal issue, you shouldn't be worried about, I don't want to talk to a lawyer, it's going to cost too much, I'm going to try and do it myself, or I'm going to do this on the side, or I just don't want to go in there, it's too intimidating. Like I said before, just pick up the phone, call me. It's really not an intimidating process, it's just the unknown. It's something you're not familiar with. So you want to talk to somebody who is familiar with it, because it's just like anything in life. If you're asked to do something you've never done before, you're going to be a little anxious about it. You're not going to want to do it. You're going to avoid it. And you're going to think, nothing's happened in the past 2 weeks, so I won't touch that piece of paper that got served on me. But again, it's not that big of a deal. You need to just come in and speak with somebody that's gone through the process before, and that way they can assist you, or I can assist you, and it's at Morelli Turco, we can make it so it's financially reasonable for you to do this. Of course, it's I can't say it's not going to be expensive for certain issues, but for certain issues, we are able to assist you for a reasonable amount of money.
All right. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Best way to get a hold of me is pick up the phone, give me a call, ask to speak to Greg Thompson at Morelli Turco, and I will pick up the phone. And if I don't, I'll call you right back if I'm not in court.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Greg Thompson from Morelli Turco on this edition of It's the Law.